Welcome, Gavyn, for
Hello.
this podcast, MBC's podcast. Yeah. So, welcome, and it's an honor for us to have you here with us. Hype Essential with us. Yeah.
So I'm the MC for the day. I'm Ken Yu.
And I'm another MC for this podcast. I'm Junming.
So here's just a little background about Gavyn. So he's a final year business student from Monash, Malaysia. He's majoring in marketing, and he's also the owner of an online business, Hype Essential, which has more than 4,000 followers on Instagram. Yes, he's very young and very talented person. So besides what I just mentioned, do you have anything to add on about yourself, Gavyn?
Anything to add on? Not really. The gist is there. I'm working on a second project now. It's called Sneaker Fight. So Sneaker Fight is a cook group for releases, specifically for online releases. So it's kind of like a platform to make. Essentially, the aim is to make sneakers copying simplified. So it's trying to assist my members to cop sneakers from retailers specifically, instead of going through a third party, which is resellers. So that's the goal of my second platform now.
Working on your second
Can
platform.
you share with us your achievements?
Achievements as in
Hype Essential, your business.
In terms of, I would say my biggest highlight for Hype Essentials was my collaboration with the Army and Grillsplug. I had a pop-up store in the Gasket Alley at Petaling Jaya section 13, SS13. So yeah, I had a 3-month pop-up with them last year in January to March, but it was cut short because of COVID. So yeah, it was January till March, pop-up store, 3 months. Yeah, it was just a small little collaboration between 3 different stores. So my focus was on clothing and accessories. The Army act as the cleaning and customization for sneakers and streetwear. And also we have Grillsplug, who focuses on sneakers. So yeah, it was like all together. We had one store which catered to cleaning, clothing, and sneakers. So everything was amazing. So yeah, that was last year.
Oh, is that where you do the giveaway for the Supreme hoodie?
Yes, that was at Gasket Alley as well. Yeah, that one was different. That was just a small little collaboration between me and Grillsplug. So that was a totally different entity. Technically, it was a totally different giveaway. So the giveaway for the Army, my Hype Essentials and Grillsplug was a Yeezy, I think Yeezy 350, but I forgot which model. What else? The Supreme hoodie was in September. It was just Hype Essentials, and yeah, it was just Hype Essentials at that time.
Yep.
So I'm very curious, like how many pairs of sneakers do you own? Like for your personal...
My personal pair.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
too many
about...
to count.
You can count on fingers, but it's just how many you need. I think I have about 10. Yeah, 10 pairs that I wear.
Wow.
But I don't exactly go for those hype pairs to wear. I'd rather remain more on the low-key side. So I'm a sucker for Vans. I got one old school. I got 4 old schools, and one Air Force One, one Stan Smith, and one Dunk. Those are my go-to. Then I got 2 Ultra Boosts for running. So yeah, yeah, it's my personal collection. I don't usually go for the hype ones.
I think your collection is damn perfect, man. I really look up to it.
Yeah.
No, it's a small one lah. It's just I don't really collect. I'm just using it for beaters. Just wear it. Yeah.
So right now we will ask you on like, we will give you 2 brands, and you will tell us which one you like more.
Okay.
Air Jordan or Yeezy?
Jordans.
Okay. Babe or CDG?
Don't really like either. So I would still say
It's
Babe.
okay.
Yeah.
If you don't like
Yeah.
both, then no need to choose. Okay.
Okay.
Off-White or Supreme?
Supreme.
Okay. So just now you say Nike.
Yep.
So it's like a straight no for Adidas.
It's not that it's a straight no. It's just that I prefer Nike because I like Nike's story compared. I prefer Nike's story compared to Adidas, and the way this is very much on advertising themselves. The way they place themselves, they position themselves in the market. It's focusing on athletes. While Adidas does do this, I would say Nike is still more geared towards actually focusing on athletes comparatively to comparatively to Adidas. So I also I kind of watch their promotional ads and even their Instagram. It's all about their athletes. They don't really advertise their own products per se. So I like the way they kind of just put themselves out there as like a athlete-based company. So yeah, that's mainly why I prefer Nike.
Okay, so just now you say that you like Air Jordan more. You prefer Air Jordan more than Yeezy.
Yeah. Okay, this is a bit controversial, but I would say I prefer Air Jordans because they can resell better comparatively to Yeezys. But in terms of the I would say that's the main thing that swayed me to Jordans. But if you want to count the second portion I would say is more towards the history behind Jordans. It's legendary. Michael Jordan, he's just one of the best basketballers in the world to even step on the court. Then, not to say Adidas is the Yeezys line, not to say it's not there, but the story when you compare Michael Jordan's one to the Yeezys, the story behind the Yeezys is just not exactly the same. It's not the same. Yeah.
So Air Jordan have so much more history compared to Yeezy lah.
Yep.
So you don't really like Babe and CDG, so we just skip this.
Yeah.
So you prefer Supreme more than Off-White?
Yes. Supreme because it's a skateboarding company. It's I like their cultural. I don't really know if you want to call it a heritage or a background, but the fact that they focus more on the skater communities and they are unique, they're very unique. It's I don't know how to describe this feeling. It's just something that's really different about Supreme, and it's not because of their resale whatsoever. It's just specifically when you look at skateboarding, Supreme stands out. I don't know how to phrase it why, but they just stand out. So yeah, that's why I prefer Supreme. Yeah.
So from all these questions, I can see that you have really deep understanding into the background and the history of many brands.
My preference on liking a brand is based off their background. So if I don't like their background story, I don't like the brand. So it's like essentially that's that's it.
Great. Just wanted for you to share with our audience. Can you tell us about what is Hype Essential and what Hype Essential do?
Hype Essentials it was born out of a need that I didn't get to fulfill myself, which was way back in 2018 when I first bought my Champion hoodie. I overpaid I think it was 220 ringgit, somewhere around that price. Yeah, 220 ringgit. So at that time, I saw another seller selling it for 180. Then I was like, oh, I got ripped off. So then why I started Hype Essentials is because I felt the fact that why should I be overpaying for something when I could get it at such a lower price from someone else? So the main goal and the reasoning behind Hype Essentials existence is always to to be at a better price compared to like others, because I know that not everybody can afford it per se, but yeah, it's just at a lower price point margin difference. Also because I want to help make everyone join the hype. So I also, for Hype Essentials, we focus a lot on more mainstream clothing. At last time, it was more towards Champion, ASSC, ADLV. All these are affordable entry level streetwear brands per se. So it's not that it's too high of a price, but it's not too low either. So it's like a entry level, or I just want to join this community, just fit in per se. So yeah, that's the main goal behind Hype Essentials. So yeah.
So we say that the main goal of Hype Essential is to like let more people to join the hype and then lower the barrier of hype lah. So you see that gap in the market. Yeah, you see the gap in the market that actually this thing is not so expensive.
Yeah, that's
so
when I first started, that was my main goal, but it slowly transitioned to something more. So yeah, when I first started, it was plainly because of the fact that I wasn't happy at the price that I paid. So I didn't think it was fair for other people to be paying that price. So what happened was I entered the market with the goal of reducing that price, in which I did manage to somewhat do it to some extent before then slowly as I progressed, I managed to gain followers because I was known for the fact that, oh, okay, this is lower than market, he's lower than market. So that's essentially how I generated my audience. Yeah. I never exactly did it for the money. I just did it because I was not satisfied at the price that I paid. So yeah, that was the one that kickstarted Hype, and it slowly grew into an actual side income job. So that was something that I never actually expected. So it just eventually turned into that. Then I was quite thrilled lah. I mean, I technically paid for my rent, and some of my outings, foods, everything was covered by the funds that I would make. So Hype went from just something that I wanted to, just a barrier that I wanted to shut off, to what became my actual side income, which helped me pay for a lot of my things, a lot of my expenditures in uni. So yeah,
that's great. Yeah, especially when we are putting something that we love and we have passion in them, and then turning them into our side income. So this is a really good experience to have, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Gavyn. Before you start Hype, do you have any experience in this kind of side business and business startups thing?
No, not really. No, Hype was my learning platform. So I would say it's Hype that Hype kind of kickstarted Sneakerfied. So Sneakerfied is now my second platform now. Second business focus per se. So yeah, then yeah, that was Hype was my learning curve.
This is a good thing where we start like from scratch, where we learn things and gain experience one step once, right?
Yeah. But it's honestly the planning process and especially the planning and trying to analyze the market. That process it took the longest of time. So I actually started Hype in January 2019. But I started doing my research, started focusing into the market, understanding what it is. I think it was 3 months before. So it was in October 2018. Yeah, October 2018. So that's when I actually started to understand how the market works. Oh, okay, where do I sell? How much is it normally priced? What is the retail? What's the background of the company? Why does it so hype? Why does everyone think it's so hype? That kind of thing. So it's kind of like the background research process that did take the most time, and I didn't dare start because I was so worried that okay, there are a lot of people that enter the market, they come in for like 1-2 months, then they fail, then they just quit. So I didn't want to be one of those people. So I just had to do proper researching before entering. So yeah.
great. That's a good thing. Just because since from what you say, like we prepared more and do research before we really step into the market and really execute our plan, right? Just wanted to know, like during the time you have in preparing these things, in preparing your business, but at the same time having your assignments and projects for Monash, right? So just want to know, like, is it hard to maintain this work study balance when you're doing this business with studies?
Yes. During the planning process that time, I wasn't 100% focused back in because that was 2018. I haven't entered Monash yet. I was doing OSPED. My WACE final exams was coming up in like November. So October I started getting interested, and they kind of drifted me off a little bit from my studies. So I didn't end up doing that well comparatively to what I would have gotten if I focused. So yeah, that eventually transitioned into 2019 when I kickstarted when I kickstarted Hype Essentials properly. That was I would spend the same amount of time studying as I would doing for Hype Essentials. So Hype Essentials is very focused on customer-based orientation. So I would try my best to do things like, Instagram is my main focus. I want to grow my target audience first. Then, okay, what do I have to do? How can I interact with my audience? What do they really want? That kind of things. So I would try to focus on every single aspect. So on average, I would say if I study, I think it was like 4 hours each day in year one. Yeah, every 4 hours I spend on studying, I will spend about the same or maybe even more on Hype. So that's the peak of my growth, was when I decided, okay, people really want to use this brand, that they want to wear this brand, that brand. Why is it that they want that brand? So that's when I started doing the proper market analyzations that time. So the analyzing process took a lot of my time throughout year one. And I think that's the only reason why I did really well, is because if I didn't analyze, just did it based on my feelings, that wouldn't have turned out well. So yeah.
So Gavyn, actually you do all this by yourself, or you have like your teammate with you?
I had one partner with me last time, and I had one person who was helping me. The person that was helping me, her name is Kelly. She's also in Monash. She gave a really huge contribution because she would focus on the creative aspects. So in terms of designing my posts, designing the stories, basically everything of the creative designing role, that was due to her, and I couldn't have done better if it wasn't for her. So huge shout out to Kelly if you see this. Then my partner and I would focus on the analyzing and selling portion. So yeah, it was technically a 3-man job. Yeah.
So you have your partner and your helper lah, and that really helps lah. So if like let's say the audience, so you encourage people who want to start business, they should find partner and also helpers lah.
Honestly, there's only so much one person is capable of doing. So you must be able to know your capabilities first. So I seek help for designing because I'm not perfect in designing. My designs have a lot of flaws. So I decided, okay, why not get someone who actually spends her time actually doing designing, actually understanding how to design, what people want, just like get her help. And yeah, that's when it like kicked off, I would say. So it's because I know it was my weakness. I'd rather have someone help me with try to improve that. So, yeah.
So you have to realize your weakness, and then you find somebody to and change your weakness into your strength.
Yeah, essentially.
So,
yeah.
I'm very curious about this lah. Is starting a business actually really costly?
If you know what you're doing, you can try to minimize the costs. But if you don't know what you're doing, you just simply going into it, just trying your best, just doing based on emotions. If you do it based on emotions, yeah, it's gonna end up to be very costly. But not to say that it's not costly when you first start. It's just there are a lot of ways to minimize that cost. So you just have to find a workaround. Yeah. But if you're asking like startup costs, then probably yeah, it will be still a lot of money. But you can always try to mitigate that cost. Yeah.
Yes, I really agree with that. If you do based on emotion, it's just like you're throwing the money into the sea. Yeah. That's why you have a very long planning process.
I was very afraid of failing. So I made sure that I did proper research. Essentially, it's just proper research before I entered. So yeah.
Okay, so since most of the audience of this podcast is university students, and usually we don't have much savings, do you have any tips to like manage the business with a lower cost?
My favorite thing to do is write it out. When you write it out, you realize, oh, okay, this cost is way too high. So then based on looking at that piece of paper, that word that you just wrote, then you're like, okay, is there any alternative that I can look at? So I think a good example was my costs for the giveaways were quite high. So I went to look at it properly, and I was like, okay, what can I do to remove that cost out per se? So then I was like, okay, what if I focus more on something that people want, but at the same time that I can get on like a very, very good price? So it's something that was in trend, but at the same time not as expensive for me to get, because I would be like, I think my best example was I managed to get like I think 100 pieces of the same of something similar of a shirt. So my cost price went down so hard because of that. So then the giveaway was very worth it, because it was like essentially very close to retail price that I managed to get. And yeah, that was like that cost. But if I did it based on emotion, I was like, oh, okay, let's just pay market for it. So I pay market, then I do this. So the end up was also not worth it. So it's two things I managed to do. I managed to get something to sell while also doing the giveaway. So which kind of killed two birds with one stone. Yeah, somewhat killed two birds with one stone.
So just to conclude, like what you say is something like we have to educate ourselves, do some research, in-depth research on it, and see like what are the options that we have that we can at the same time minimize the capital or the balance, that the amount that we needed, but at the same time get the results that we wanted at the same time, right?
Yeah, essentially, yes. I mean, when you say it like that, it's easy, but it's a lot harder, because the thing is, this is probably going to offend some people, but a lot of people's mindset is, oh, if I don't know, I just ask. I don't know if I just ask. And not to say that that's bad, it's good to ask, but sometimes you can actually do research on your own self to find the answer. So I would say a lot of people, including myself, the weakness is that we like to ask. We don't really do our own research. So sometimes when you ask, you may not get your 100% accurate answer. So whereas if you go do your own research, maybe you can come up, oh, okay, so this is an alternative, that is an alternative. Maybe you can try this, maybe you can try that. No harm in trying. So it's just that instead of going for one answer, sometimes it's nice to expand your horizon to see everything else. Yep.
That's really insightful advice from you. So until this point, it has been more than 2 years since Hype launched. What are the greatest challenges that you have met?
COVID. Yeah. I had plans to continue our collaboration. No, we had plans to continue our collaboration, but because of COVID, things didn't really work out. So I would say Hype's biggest growth was because of our collaboration. It's me actually having the experience of having a storefront, because to be honest with you, before that, I was just focused on giving people at really good prices. But when it was during the storefront phase, when I realized, I can actually turn this into an actual really good side income. So that's when I decided, okay, it was sem break really. It was like in December. So December to March, then I was like, okay, how about if I just give in right now 110% every day into Hype. So that really did work out, and the storefront did really, really well. It generated a lot more sales than I would have expected. Yeah, I could reach out to customers that I couldn't previously reach. I would be able to sell things to people that I would have never thought that I could get a hold of the target market. So yeah, that was a really good experience. And the biggest challenge was because of COVID, we had to cut short of our collaboration, and because of that did kind of affect sales quite drastically. And that's also because I'm in the clothing and accessories. So when COVID first struck, people were like, okay, I want to cut short on my expenditure, don't want to spend too much on clothing, all these kind of things. So it's also because of the fact that people weren't willing to spend their money on clothes at that point of time. So then after that, sales went down. Yeah, so that was kind of like also something to note. Yeah,
I think the reason you say I can really relate to it, because like I really want to buy something, like buy a clothes or something, but I just like, because of this COVID, I'm not like really going out. So I think I buy this already, I also won't wear it out, so I just don't buy lah.
Yeah, that's the exact thing that I like kind of pinpointed. So yeah, that was a huge set point. Yeah.
Yeah, Gavin, we have few questions from our followers in IG page, and one of the questions are from Celine, right? I'm considering to start an online business, but I'm currently studying. So, from your experience, would you suggest to start a business earlier, or should I wait after graduate?
Very much depends on your scenario. It very much depends on what kind of business you're starting. Sorry. What business
she
starting?
she didn't mention about any business. It's just in general. What do you think?
I think at this point of time, it will be a nice stage to plan, but to enter the market will be a bit more challenging because you're focused on things like you have to focus on environmental issues, in this case COVID. So you have to take into account that, okay, not everyone in your target market will be able to come and reach out to you. Not everyone in your target market is willing to purchase at this point of time. So the external environment plays a huge influence on whether you should or should not start. But it very much also depends on the industry. So I can't exactly give you, from my opinion, this is all just my opinion, I can't give you an answer based on just that statement. There are so many factors that influences whether you should or should not start. So if you're doing things like, a mask business, then yeah, of course, go ahead. This is a perfect timing to enter. But if you're doing things like, for me, clothing, I would say it's not the best time to enter. You can, not to say don't, but it's just not the best time to enter. Yeah.
So in short, it's like planning first, understand what you're going to do, understand your business, and only then do your own risk and then enter the market.
Yeah.
Great. We have another question from Samantha. Like, how do you market your product when you first started to gain viewers?
When I first started, I would say I focus a lot on creativity. So creativity aspects, so more towards like design. Design is the number one thing that attracts people. You only get like 6 seconds to capture their attention, maximum 6 seconds. So your first 6 seconds is the crucial time that in order to sway them. So design, number one, most important thing. Second thing, price. So my main focus was on these two, which is design. Make sure it's a really attractive design that anyone is like, it's eye appealing. I want to learn more. Then you focus on price. This thing's actually lower than the market. So maybe I can get from this person, that kind of thing. So it's these two go together, but design is still more important. Yeah.
Understand. It's something like just try out something that will pick the audience interest in this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Great.
So
That's a good answer.
the main eye-catching will be design, but the thing that influences purchase is the price. So not to be mean or offensive, but Malaysians, we focus on price. Anything also is like, oh, do we want cheaper? We want it to be as cheap as possible. I don't care how nice it is. I just want to get the lowest price possible. So yeah, once you can offer the lowest price possible, you're more likely than not going to influence them. So this is great if you have the power to do it. So the power being that you can afford buying more. In this case, for me, it was in quantities. So the higher quantities I have, then the lower price my costs will be. So because of that, I unlock the factor that, oh, okay, I can sell at a lower price too. So yes, my margins will be cut short, but I will be able to focus on quantity. Yep, that's just my opinion now. For everyone, it's different. Honestly, everyone who starts their own business, that's very different. It's not like one person can say anything about everyone. It's everyone's story is different. It all depends on you. Yep.
So that I saw that Hype Essential actually transitioned from a streetwear apparel to streetwear and sneaker, right?
Yep.
Why is that so? Does that have to do with your future goal or?
Yes, essentially it was a hard switch, but I realized that through COVID-19 that people aren't willing to this whole streetwear, specifically clothing and accessories. Those are what do you call this, expenditure that you only buy when you can afford it, or it's a luxury item per se. So it's not exactly like the in the I must buy this, that kind of thing. So it was like during when COVID struck, it wasn't something that everybody really wanted. So at that point in time, they were like, oh, okay, I would save my money from this. So that's when sales really went down for me personally because of that reason. And I was like, okay, maybe I should try looking into something else. Still in the market, but something else. So that's when I kind of got more into sneakers. So ever since then, it was just focusing a little bit more on sneakers. Then it went from a little bit more to going into detail. And then when going into detail, I did my own analyzing, and I decided that, you know what, this market, even though through COVID, it still had a really good market. People were still willing to purchase. People were still going all out for it. The hype doesn't die for sneakers specifically. So I was like, okay, you know what, let's try this instead. So yeah, then I went in full-fledged on sneakers. Even now also, I'm not as focused on streetwear per se, just more towards sneakers now.
So right now, Hype Essentials still sell apparel or not?
We do, but not a lot. So for my apparel wise, my main focus right now is this brand called Drew House by Justin Bieber. So Drew House would be the number one thing that Hype Essentials stands out for now. So, but even then also, now that I slowly transition into sneakers, I'm not focused on Drew House much, but I'm more focused on sneakers. Yeah.
So just now you say that when you are collaborating, you actually have more sales, right? And then you are doing the pop-up store. So do you plan to open a physical store in future?
This very much depends on which I end up focusing on, because if I want to continue doing the storefront, it has to be because I generate enough inventory sales and have enough revenue to sustain that. Whereas for now, based on COVID, it's proven to me that no, I'm not ready for that yet. So yeah, but ideally, yes, I would probably get a store in the future, ideally.
Yeah. So for business part, we really have to plan out in terms of our future, and then do what we can right now for our present time, right?
Yeah.
Great. So before you go, Gavin, do you have anything you want to shout out to us NBC members or any audience that were listening to this podcast?
Not really. I don't really want to shout out, but it's more towards the fact that I want to focus on you, because a lot of people would say don't start your business, don't do this, don't do that, and this is something that I mentioned before in Monga last year. So is that a lot of people will tell you that this is not good, that is not good, you shouldn't do it because of this, you shouldn't do it because of that. But what really matters is that you yourself know whether it's good or not. Hype wouldn't have been born if a few of my friends last time, they used to like say, oh, you're not gonna be able to do it, it's not gonna end up well, don't enter the market. So if I did listen to them, that would have been very different ways. So I don't exactly feel like shouting out my own store, but I just want to shout out your own personal capabilities. It doesn't matter what anyone says, as long as you manage to, if you believe you can do it, then that's all that matters. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's really inspiring and encouraging.
I don't mean for it to sound clingy or cringy. I've known enough people who listen to other people for it not to work. So even though they have amazing ideas, it can actually work out, but you're just so afraid and you're so influenced by what other people say. So genuinely speaking, it comes down to whether you yourself are willing to put in the effort. Yeah. So it's don't care what anyone says. It's not their future, it's yours. So you can only determine your own fate. So yeah.
It's really
this is.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. It sounds
really great.
damn cringe.
no, it's really actually very inspiring and encouraging for me. It's not cringe at all.
Actually, so, I believe all of us here have a dream that we have, something that we really wanted to do all along in our hearts, and we are like restricting ourselves from doing it. And this like really help us to know, like sometimes when we have determined it to do it, we really want to do it, just do it. And even though like sometimes there will be people who will be like pulling you down, like saying like this isn't a good time, but you yourself who have done the research on it knows what is the best, and which for us, like the next best time is tomorrow, or the next best time is now, right? So that's what's really helped us to push forward and doing what we really wanted to do. This is a very good advice that we really get here.
Really thank you so much for joining us today, Gavin.
No worries,
it's really interesting to hear your story and advice. So we hope that your business can continue to grow in the future and eventually can open a physical store.
Thank you so much, that means a lot.
Yeah. So
also, guys,
any one of you who wanted to look up into street apparel, sneakers, right? Do look up into Hype Essential. They are the ones that really bring out what we all of us wanted: the price, the motivation, the aim, the purpose of getting hype to everyone, among all of us, getting what we really should get in the market, and not really spending too much on it too. So Hype Essential is the one that we really look up to. So
you
do follow the Sneaker Fry IG page also. Okay, so, thank you guys for listening until this point, and see you guys in the next podcast. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Gavin.